Now in front of me is a rifle that I've been wanting to review for some time, and the reason being is that if you look online, there are lots of reviewers out there that have done nothing but sing its praises. I'm always a little bit skeptical, as you know, so this is going to be an interesting one. It's going to be shot at 30 meters, and well, I'll tell you what, come along for the ride and you'll find out.
The GunLocker is proudly brought to you by Insurite. For information on what Insurite has to offer and how they can help you, visit their website www.insurite.me.
Hello, I'm Mark and welcome to the GunLocker. Now before I start this review, I just wanted to mention that it's going to take a slightly different format to what you might be used to. My previous videos were made of two parts, so you had part one which covered design and build, and part two covered accuracy and performance. Rather than splitting that review into two parts, I'm now going to clump it together. And yes, it's going to be lengthy. I make no apologies for that whatsoever, but what I have done is I put some timestamps in the description below, so if you're particularly interested in a specific topic, just click on the timestamp and it will take you directly to that topic. Now, the channel is new and it's going to develop with time, and my review style will no doubt change with time. I think it's important to be in depth. I think it's important to give you all the facts and figures, and I think it's important to give you my opinion, and I believe the star rating system that I use is still very good. It's just I know that some people maybe aren't so bothered about my opinion or my star ratings, but do want to know the specs and do want to know how it performs out on the range. That's why I'm changing the format of my videos. Anyway, without waffling, without further ado, let's crack on. So in front of me is BSA's R10 SE. It's .22 and it's sub 12 foot-pound, and that's because we're here in the UK. Now, before I delve into the facts and figures concerning this rifle, let's talk about the company. So the company was formed in 1861 and it's located in Small Heath near Birmingham. 1861, so that means it's 162 years old, which is an incredible feat anywhere in the world, you know. That's phenomenal. In that time, it's experienced 2 world wars, and at its height, I suppose, and these figures are absolutely staggering, the company has produced hundreds of thousands of rifles, Sten guns, cannons, millions of rounds of munitions. It really is staggering how much they've produced, but it no longer produces military weaponry. So it's kind of concentrating on the air rifles, on hunting rifles and that sort of thing. I think it's important, if you get the time, just to pop onto BSA's website and have a look at their history, because it's a really good read and they present it very, very nicely. There's no point me going over it because they do the job perfectly well themselves, but I do think that it's worth the read, and obviously BSA will appreciate the viewing figures. What can I say about the rifle? Well, rather than, like I said before, rather than giving you my opinions, and this is a little bit difficult for me actually, it's new because I've not done a review in this format before, so bear with me. I'm going to stay quite matter of fact for this first section on the tech specs. I'm working to my cheat sheets here because there's a lot to talk about, and apologies if I do start to waffle. I'm going to try and keep it concise. So what do we have? The R10 SE. Now there are two variants, there's the standard and the Super Carbine. This is the Super Carbine, and as you can see it takes on the traditional sporting rifle look, and it's managed to kind of amalgamate the bottle within that look. It's done it very, very nicely in my opinion, but again, here we go, first faux pas, opinions are coming out already. I'm going to try and stop that. It is a PCP, as you can see, and it's a bolt action. It actually retails at, and obviously these figures could change wherever you are in the UK, but Guns R Us, it retails for £1,050, and what you see is what you get. So it's the rifle and that's it, there's no scope included in that, but within the box you will get a wire padlock, you do get a filler probe and a filler port plug. You get what they call a CCS kit with a kind of an instruction card, and that tells you how to configure the barrel and the moderator and the shroud, because I guess some people may think with the shroud on it, it looks a bit chunky, so you can take the shroud off and just have the moderator on. You can leave it without a moderator, it's entirely up to you, but it gives you that flexibility to play around with the configuration of the barrel. You also in the box get 2 rotary magazines and an instruction manual. Now I've got to say, of all the rifles that I've been reviewing recently, it's not the biggest of instruction manuals. It's one sheet of paper, it's in black and white, it's in small print, so what can I say? It is what it is. With regards to calibers, it's available in .177, .22 and .25. So 4.5mm, 5.5mm and 6.35mm. And when you receive the rifle, you'll receive it in quite a chunky cardboard box, which has got some polystyrene packaging in there, and you know, the rifle's protected in transport, that's it. So let's talk about the stock now. The stock is a one-piece stock and it's made by Manelli. Again, with regards to the quality, the aesthetics and all that lot, that's going to be dealt with in the latter half of this video, so bear with me on that one. But the stock is available in 3 different materials. So you've got the walnut that you can see here, you've got a synthetic, and you've got a laminate. And with regards to colours, you get it in the natural wood, as you can see here. You can get it in black pepper, which is the laminate version, real tree extra camo, and a black. So there's synthetic versions. If we start from the rear and work towards the muzzle, at the back of the stock we have quite an adjustable butt pad, solid rubber, and then I'm going to call that a polymer cum plastic base to it. The butt pad itself can move up and down. Just do it this way, a little bit difficult for the camera. And what I've done is I've slackened off the nut in the center of the butt pad there to be able to do that. And if you actually remove this butt pad, it then reveals 2 more kind of head screws inside, which if you loosen those up allows you to adjust the cast. So there is a lot of adjustability in this stock, in the butt pad itself. And that's, well, again, I'm trying not to give my opinion. I'll talk about that later on. Let me carry on. So unlike military style rifles or some of the other PCPs that we have on the market, you don't have any storage within the stock. You don't have it in the butt or in the fore end for additional magazines. And if I carry on down the list, what have we got here? So obviously this stock is right-handed, and I'll swing it around that way as well. I wouldn't attempt to use this if I was left-hander, because that cheek piece is actually quite sharp. It's not comfortable at all, but there are variants available, so you can get left-handed rifles. In the synthetic stock, I believe you can get ambidextrous stocks as well. Now, as I said, the cheek piece on this stock is fixed. You can't do anything with it. And then when you look at the grip, it's got, I guess, what you'd call an Anschutz style grip. Now, this one is right-handed again, so it's not ambidextrous, and the reason why it's not is because there is a cutout that allows your thumb to sit nicely, and it's biased toward the right hand side. If you try and shoot it with your left hand, you have a sharp edge that rubs on the inside of your thumb, and the grip can be used either thumbs up or wrap around. Okay. So obviously we've got a very nice again, I'm trying to not use opinions here. We've got checkering to the pistol grip itself, and then with regards to the fore end, well, I guess it's going along. I'm just going to lift that up out of the bench rest there. It's going along the Schnabel lines, and it has a nose cap. Different coloured wood, but you know, it's very. I'm doing it again. I'm going to keep my opinions to myself. This one's tricky. I will settle into this new format, I'm sure I will. And what else can I say about the stock? Well, what you see is what you get. It is fitted with some sling studs, but again, these studs are actually quite sizable in their diameter, so not all bipods will fit on that. What you're looking for is a bipod that actually has a clamping mechanism, a pincer mechanism, such as a Deben bipod, and that will fit over these studs. If you go for something like a Gamo, you know, that's not going to work. So you might have to think about that when you purchase this rifle. Let me talk about the chassis. So the chassis now is that's aluminium, and you only get it in the one colour, which is black. The trigger, which kind of is a match blade on post trigger, is multi-adjustable in that you can twist it on the post itself, and you can adjust it for single, first stage, second stage, and pull. So hard not to give opinions now, but there you are. And the trigger guard itself has quite a large cutout in order for you to be able to do that. This is proving to be quite a challenge, this new format. Now, the safety, well, it's a manual safety, and it's located just here. So rear to the rear is safe. Click it forward and it's for fire. And again, it's usable, it's within easy reach of your thumb. And then with regards to loading the rifle, well, as I say, it comes with rotary magazines, so there's no single shot tray with this. And BSA, what they've done is basically they've color coded the magazines. So for 2.2 it's red, for .177 it's blue, and for the .25 it's kind of a browny purple colour. The .177 and the .22 are both 10-shot magazines. The .25 is an 8-shot magazine. Now, with regards to scope rails, so on top we have basically a dovetail rail. it's 184 millimeters and it's 13 millimeters wide, not 11 millimeters. And this is something that might be of interest to you guys. The rail is actually offset from the top of the barrel by 3.5 millimeters, so it's quite low. Unlike a lot of kind of military style PCPs now where they have a raised rail, the Crow Puncher Knight for example, even what have I got here? You can see the difference here. So this is a Hatsan Hercules Bully, which I'll be reviewing shortly, and you can see the difference in the rail. The offset is considerably different. That's a spoiler alert for what's coming up. So yeah, 3.5 mil offset from the barrel, and the nice thing about that is it keeps your scope low, so you haven't got a lot of difference between your focal plane and the travel of the shot. The barrel itself is made by BSA and it's cold hammer forged. There's so much written about these barrels now that if you want more detail on that, please, you know, go online and you'll find out the machining process. The lot it's all very well recorded. On this particular rifle, the barrel length is 310 millimeters or 12.2 inches, and the barrel wall thickness is 4.98 millimeters or 0.2 of an inch. And as you can see, it's shrouded. Now the shroud length itself is 180 millimeters or 7.09 inches, and its diameter is 22.38 millimeters or 0.88 of an inch. So you can see it's got an integral sound moderator, and you've got to be careful here because it's all so new. You can unscrew it at this point. You can unscrew the whole shroud if you like, and that comes away. It's got quite a few different formats, but the moderator itself, well, that is actually the same length as the shroud, and I suppose that's why it looks balanced, but that's 180 millimeters long and its diameter is 30.16 millimeters, so 7.09 inches and 1.19 inches respectively. Now let's talk about the air supply. So we have a 200cc bottle in the front here. It's filled using a filler probe, and that comes in the underside here just above the manometer. What I will say about the positioning of this probe is that if you fit a bipod, depending on what type of bipod you fit, that might clash with the recess for the filler probe. So bear that in mind when you're putting your setup together. The maximum fill pressure is 232 bar or 3,365 psi, and basically I suppose the most important thing about this rifle is that it's regulated. You can't adjust that regulator, but as you'll see later on in the video, it does a good job. What else can I tell you? So it doesn't have an adjustable hammer spring and it doesn't have an adjustable transfer port. So what you see is what you get. Now if you go onto BSA's website and you look at their factory figures for performance and output, on the 12 foot-pound version, which is what we've got here, or sub 12 foot-pound version, they give the same power output for all three calibers. They quote it as 16 joules, and that equates to 11.8 foot-pounds. These are their figures, not mine, and I will give you my figures later on. So for the .177 version, they're basically saying that it can achieve speeds of 823.28 feet per second or 251 meters per second, and has a shot count of 190 shots per fill. And by per fill, I'm assuming that's from 232 bar down to 100 bar. If I'm mistaken, please let me know. The .22 version, which is what you can see here, they're quoting speeds of 570 feet per second or 174 meters per second, and a shot count of 250 shots per fill. And then for the .25 version, we've got 130 meters per second or 426 feet per second, and again a shot count of 250 shots per fill. We'll find out whether that's right for this rifle, shall we say. The last specs, basically, its overall length is 950 millimeters or 37.4 inches. Now the center of balance from the butt, which is, let me just get this right, it's roughly, go a little bit further, there we go, it's roughly where my hand is, and that distance is 465 millimeters from the butt to the center of balance, and then the reach from the butt to the trigger itself is 380 millimeters. The last fact and figure is its weight. Unscoped, without a bipod, as you see it here, is 3.37 kilograms or 7.43 pounds in weight. So that's the tech specs done, and what you're about to see now is me shooting outside on a nice day, shooting out at 30 meters, and you're going to see me do a group test, and you're going to see me do an accuracy test, and then I'll catch you back in here afterwards. So I've been lucky enough to have another beautiful day. There's hardly any wind, it's warming up, stunning. What a lovely day, couldn't ask for a better day for a test. I'm outside with the BSA R10. This is the 22 caliber and it's sub 12 foot-pound, and like I normally do, there'll be a pellet test. I'm going to use 5 different pellets. So we've got the Diablo Fields, we've got Victory Shots, Cheap and Cheerfuls, some RWS Superdomes, some JSB Match Diablo Exacts, and some Norma Golden Trophy FTs. I'll be using the left piece of paper, and I'll be putting a magazine in each of the 5 targets that you can see down there. We're going to start off with the Air Arms Diablo Fields. We're going to go for the bottom left hand target, and basically how you load this rifle, there is a retaining pin just at the end of the front end of the chassis, so you pull that away, you pull the cocking lever back as far as it will go, it feeds in from the left hand side, nice little click, and then you push back the retaining pin and you cock the rifle. Now the safety is on the left side, which is great because it's near your thumb. To the rear it's safe, forward it's fire. So we're in fire now, and we're going to put a group down that bottom left hand target. I have put 10 rounds through this, and it's the first 10 rounds that it's been shot, just to sight it in so that at least I'm on the paper. Yeah, we'll go from there. We'll see how it performs with these 5 pellets that we've got. Okay, so bottom left hand target. And again, as this is a pellet test, it's just for the group. I'm not particularly concerned as to how close it is to that red cross. Although if I get it close, you know, that's always a bonus. I'm out. That's just one big hole down there. I have to say, first thoughts initially, I'm not sure what power this is kicking out, because I can see the pellet going in there and it seems to be taking a little bit of time. Just going to get rid of my phone, it's annoying me. And I can see that pellet flying, probably because I'm used to shooting the .177s. They're going almost 300 feet per second faster, but we'll see. When we run it over the chrono, we'll do a decent test. So next in, I've got an interesting, there we go, next in are the Victory Shock, and these are a cheap and cheerful pellet, but we'll see how they perform. So this time it's going to be bottom right hand target. Well, that's hit the cross. That was high. I'm out. 3 flyers out of that group, and just as you know, for me to assess whether the rifle is pellet fussy or not, I want to make sure that that group is within a 25mm diameter circle. So yeah, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to load up with some RWS Superdomes, and then I'll follow that up with some JSB Match Diablo Exacts. I'll cut the camera for the moment whilst I load up, just because you don't want to see me do that. Yeah, and I'll come back to you in a second. Okay, so we're loaded up with the RWS Superdomes, and we're going to go top right hand target. Again, nice first shot. Nice second shot, even better. I'm out. So again, not a bad group. The one flyer there quite surprises me when, you know, rifles perform quite well with the Superdomes, because not many like them. Next up, just load these in. Next up are the JSB Match Diablos. Exact jumbo, 15.89 grains. So we're going to go top left hand target. I'm out. Right, yeah, not as good as the RWS's, which is quite a surprise. Last up will be the Norma FTs, and I'm just going to load up the magazine and I'll be back with you in a second. Right, so we're loaded up with the Normas. We'll go for the centre target. And we seem to have a bit of a jam here, so I'm just going to see if I can clear this. Right. Okay, we'll try again. I'm out. Okay, so you saw I had a little bit of an indexing issue there. I'm not quite sure what happened. Pellet didn't seem to feed, and then kind of got jammed, and this was sat in the breech, so obviously for whatever reason it just didn't index. Anyway, I can say that it doesn't like the Norma FTs, so I think what we'll do for the accuracy test, we'll go with the Diablo Fields. Right guys, I'm just going to sight the rifle in just very quickly, and I'll be back with you for the accuracy test. Okay, so I've taken a few shots actually to re-sight the rifle. I just wasn't happy with the way it was firing. So anyway, back onto the right hand piece of paper, scope's been zeroed in. We're using the Air Arms Diablo Fields, 16 grains for anybody that's interested, and this is the accuracy test. So we're going to go right hand piece of paper, bottom left hand target, we'll put one shot in there, and then we'll go on the outer targets and we'll do a group test on the centre target. So bottom left hand target, bottom right hand target, top right hand target, top left hand target, and now we'll go for the group test. So 5 shots in the centre target. Okay, so that was the 5 shots. So the group was good. The individual shots weren't so good. Yeah, I've got some metal spinners on the right hand side. I'm just going to get rid of the last shot on one of those. Yeah, that's it. So what do I think? Actually, it's not as accurate as I would like it to be. It's a little bit, well, maybe it needs to be bedded in yet, maybe it's me. I've shot better with other rifles. I don't particularly like this cocking lever. The stroke is too short for me, and it's not as definitive as I'd like it to be. It's not as certain, so you believe you've cocked it properly, but then, you know, that last little click to cock it and then to put it back in, it's a little bit short stroked. Trigger's okay, could be better, but again, that's straight out of the box and I haven't adjusted it, and you know, it's not really my place to do that because it is a brand new rifle. Everybody says that, you know, with new rifles they take a little bit of time to lead in and to settle down. I'm guessing this is going to be the same. I filled it up to 220 bar, and it's now showing about 100 and what's that, 200? I would say about 120 bar on here, so I've used 100 bar of pressure. And shots wise, there's been 10, 50, 60, so it's had 70 shots and 100 bar of pressure. Right, okay guys, I will see you back inside. So that was me shooting outside at 30 meters on a lovely day, and it's nice now actually I've got to this point because I've got an opinion again. How do I think the rifle performed? Well, you heard what I said at the end of that film, or that footage. It's a little bit disappointing, I've got to be honest. I was expecting great things. I've heard that, you know, these rifles are laser accurate. Unfortunately for me, that's not the case. Could have just been me. It could have been that the rifle actually doesn't fit me properly, and there might be people out there that will turn around. You know, you guys might say, actually Mark, you did a rubbish job of shooting. Fair enough, if that's what you think, that's what you think. But honestly, I've shot other rifles that maybe they suited me better. It's a very, very personal thing. Look, what I'm going to do, I've got both the accuracy and performance to run through and the design and build side of things. Normally, when I do my reviews, part 1 is the design and build, part 2 is accuracy and performance. I'm going to flip it on its head because obviously we're back inside having shot this, so it just makes sense to carry on with the accuracy theme. I'd like to score the rifle out of 5 stars like I normally do, and I've got several topics to cover. I'm going to go through those topics. Again, I've got my score sheets here, and there'll also be some overlays that come up on the screen, probably to the right hand side, so you can follow the progress of myself going through these different categories. So we're going to start off with accuracy. Now, if I look at, you know, the target that I've shot, and I measure the distances from the red cross to the point of impacts, on the outside targets, single shot test, the furthest away from the bull, or from the center of the red cross, was this one here, and it's 14.48 millimeters. The closest to the center of the red cross is the first shot, and that's at 9.17 millimeters. Again, over a 30 meter distance. So It's not bad, don't get me wrong, it's not bad, but it could be a lot tighter than that. And the central group, well, that came in at 14.29 millimeters, so it's still less than a 5p piece. So with regards to scores, effectively, oh, and I must say as well, before I forget, when you look at the pellet test, out of the 5 pellets that I chose, the only sort of make that this rifle didn't particularly like was the Normas. So 4 out of 5 pellets. Now, bearing all of that lot in mind, I've come up with a score of 3.8 out of 5 stars, and I think that's fair. Just wish it was a little bit more accurate and get those groups tighter, and get those pellets closer to the centre of the cross. Next up is handling. At 7.43 pounds, it's not particularly heavy, it's not particularly light, it's just about, it's okay. For the bench, I would prefer a heavier rifle. For the field, maybe slightly lighter. So it's in between the two. And with regards to balance, well, it is weighted nicely. It sits a little bit heavier on the front. Yeah, it's not bad. Overall, I've given it 3.5 out of 5 stars. Again, I think that's a fair score. Now, I specifically left that footage of me struggling to load this rifle so that you could see, I've got a bit of dust there, so you could see the issue I had with indexing. And what happened with that pellet, I have absolutely no idea, because I cocked the rifle, went to push that probe back in, it jammed, I took the magazine out, tried it again, it wasn't kind of working, it was almost as if the probe was jammed, and then I looked and there was a pellet at the bottom of the breech. How that happened, I have no idea. But I am struggling with this cocking lever. For me, that stroke is just too short. It could do with another 1/2 inch to 1 inch more. So 12.5 to 25 mil greater length of stroke, and that would be more comfortable for me. And also the cocking lever itself, if you look at it, it's not very long. So when you've got a big hand, it's actually, for me, it's just a little bit too small, a little bit too short. Again, this is all personal opinion. You might disagree, and please, if you do and you want to comment, feel free to do so. Just please keep those comments clean. So for loading, the issue that I had with the indexing of those magazines, and also the fact when you look at these mags, although they're very well made and they're very easy to load, they haven't got much of a capacity. So the .177 and the 22 have got a 10 shot capacity, and the .25 has got an 8 shot capacity. Now, most rifles these days, especially the Turkish ones, when you're looking at .177, they've got a capacity of 14 shots, and the 22 is 12 shots. It's not a great deal more, but it is more. And then of course you go out to things like FXs and you're going up to 30 odd shots, so it's a bit on the low side. And because these magazines are so small, you would have thought actually it's a low count, so how about a single shot tray? But you can't have a single shot tray with this rifle as well, so you're losing the flexibility, I suppose. So what have I scored it for loading? Well, it gets 2.8 out of 5 stars from me. Now the trigger, I'm going to score the trigger quite well, although I do have issues with the trigger. If I tell you that I've scored it 4 out of 5 across the board, so that's for how it feels out of the box, adjustability and predictability, that's a very high score. But what I don't like about it is that it feels as if it's gonna almost fall off at any point. It's waggling about, and for me, that's, you know, I rather a trigger that I know is going to stay in place. I know that sounds weird, but I'm just not used to something that flops about like this. With regards to first stage and second stage movement, yeah, they're all right, and there is a bit of creep when you know, come to release at the end of the second stage. The adjustability of it, well, the fact that it's got this big cutout within the trigger guard to allow you to get to all the screws, that's great, makes it easily accessible, and unlike some other rifles, you don't have to take the chassis out of the stock to be able to adjust it. So what can I say, 4 out of 5 for the way the trigger operated, but it's still, I've got my reservations. I do have my reservations as to why on earth such, I mean, it does look like a hefty post as well. We're not talking about a little bit of plastic here, but it's waggling around as if it's held on, you know, a very thin wire. Anyway, that's just me. Let's go on. So next up, power. So here in the UK we've got this 12 foot-pound limit, and the ideal is to get, you know, as much power out of a rifle but still keep the right side of the law. Or on BSA's website, they claim that they achieve, or this is kicking out somewhere in the region of 16 joules, which is 11.8 foot-pound. Now when I ran this over the Crony, the shot string actually was pretty impressive. Using the Air Arms Diablo fields at 16 grains, it achieves speeds of, well, the fastest was 579.1 feet per second, and the slowest was 572.1 feet per second. So there was only a 7 feet per second spread, and that's where the regulator's coming in, because obviously that's keeping it pretty damn tight. And at those speeds, it's actually kicking out 11.73 foot-pound or 15.91 joules. So it's very, very close to what BSA is quoting on their site. And again, you know, at that sort of power output, 11.73 foot-pound, you are right up there, very, very close to the 12 foot-pound limit. So it has to be 5 out of 5 stars. It really does. However, there's always a flip side. With regards to air efficiency, now this is where I'm not sure what's going on with BSA's website, because they claim that you can get 250 shots out of a fill. I'm not getting anywhere near that. So you saw me say on the film that I'd filled it up to 220 bar and I shot it down to 120 bar. So there was 100 bar of pressure used. And I actually made an error on that film, because I said I'd shot 70 pellets. I hadn't, I'd shot 80 pellets, so 10 more than I actually claimed. But even so, if you extrapolate those figures out and assume that you take it up to 232 max fill and shoot it down to 100 bar, then by my reckoning I'd only get 106 shots out of this rifle. Now that's way, way lower than the 250 shots claimed by BSA. So I'm not sure what's going on there at all. I really don't know. For that reason, looking at my figures and bearing in mind that, you know, the shot count per bar is 0.8 shots to a bar, so not quite one shot to each bar of pressure used, I'm giving it a score of 3 out of 5. Still an okay score, but it's, you know, it's not great. So obviously when I was shooting you could hear it bark. Even with the moderator that's fitted, it's still quite loud. I tested the DBs, and with the moderator, without the moderator it was kicking out 87 decibels. With the moderator we're looking at 86 decibels. It's hardly any difference at all. It's still okay for a PCP, but as an okay score, it's only coming out at 3 out of 5 stars. And then finally, in this section, we're going to talk about value for money. So look, I've already said that the gun retails, and you can purchase it from Guns R Us in Sheffield for £1,050. Now that's a gun on its own. That does not include the scope or the bipod or the air supply or the pellets. So if you were starting out afresh, you'd want to budget another, say, £400 on top of that. So all told, to get you shooting, £1,450. Now that's a lot of money. No two ways about it, that is a lot of money. And when I put that cost up against the results of the accuracy test, in my mind, I think it's on the expensive side. Hard one, because this is my opinion, and again, you guys might rip me to shreds for saying it, but personally I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't, not for that sort of money, because I know that I can get rifles half the price that are giving me tighter groups and are laser accurate. So when I punch the figures into my formula, it's coming out with 3.7 out of 5 stars for value for money, and I think that's fair. I really do. Overall, when I look at the figures for the accuracy and performance, it's achieving 3.6 out of 5 stars. So that's that part done with. Now, last bit, design and build. So what have we got here? Basically, there are 4 topics to cover. There's aesthetics, so you know my personal opinion as to how it looks. There's ergonomics, there's the build quality, and there's the design of the safety. So how have I scored it? Well, first off, aesthetics, that's all about looks, and that's a very, very personal opinion. I have to say that I really do like the look of this rifle, and that's probably why I'm kind of saddened that it's not as accurate as I was hoping it would be. It is a very, very pretty, it's just a lovely looking bit of kit. The Manelli stock is sublime. It's very, very nicely shaped. It's using high grade quality walnut. The nose cap, alright, you know, these little details here, it just, the darkened, you know, kind of plate to the bottom of the pistol grip there, it just is a very, very pretty rifle with a beautiful stock. For that reason, I've given it 4.5 out of 5 stars. You know, it's well balanced. They use lovely materials. Everything looks the part. It really does. So yeah. And even when you change the configuration of the barrel, so you take the moderator off and you expose the barrel itself, because some people don't like this moderator being there, that's their choice. And then if you slip your own moderator on it, again it looks different, but it doesn't look out of the way. I like it in this format, I really do. So yeah, 4.5 out of 5 stars. Now, ergonomics, my favourite subject, because at the end of the day I look at ergonomics in a slightly different way. For me, ergonomics is all about how an item is adaptable for the end user. So in this case, how the rifle can be adapted to suit the shooter. With a sporting rifle of this sort, it doesn't allow much scope for for adaptability. It just simply doesn't. It's not a military style PCP with arc rails that you can put rangefinders on, lights on, bipods on. It just doesn't allow you to do that, unfortunately, but it has its place. So I don't expect it to score highly for ergonomics, but that shouldn't detract from the rifle itself. So what can I say? Well, look, let's talk about the stock first, and then we'll go on to the metalwork. So the stock, the butt on this rifle is handed in its right hand. You can get left-handed options, but you can't get an ambidextrous stock in the Walnut. You can in the synthetics. The butt pad, as I've already explained, is extremely adjustable, and that's a nice feature, especially for the fact that you can alter the cast of the butt, which is quite rare on a lot of rifles. So yeah, that's nice. We've got an ambidextrous. Well, we've got a very nicely textured grip and forend. The job that Manelli have done on this stock is, it's stunning. But the pistol grip itself, which is an Anschutz style grip, is handed and biased towards the right hand. So you wouldn't want to shoot this as a left-hander. You just simply wouldn't. But the options are available if you wanted a left-hand stock, or you go synthetic. What else can I say? Yeah, the sling studs. So we do have sling studs fitted. The only thing that I will say is that, again, if you fit a bipod to this, be aware that it may cover the filler port. So you might have to adapt your bipod in cutting a V out, as I know some people have done, or turn it back on itself, which will give you a little bit more space, or be prepared to take it off each and every time that you fill it up, which would be an absolute pain. The other thing that I will say is the studs that are being used on this stock are actually quite chunky, and not every bipod will fit on them. I know Gamos won't, Debens do, but you're looking for a bipod that has got a clamping method or a pincer method of attaching to the studs, as opposed to one that goes like a cap and then screws through the hole there. What else can I say about the stock? So yeah, available in alternate materials. So we've got the walnut, we've got the synthetic, we've got the laminate, and it's available in in different colours, obviously because you've got the material choice. And then, is it resistant to weather and impact? For the most part, yes. I mean, with wood, if you're going to wrap it around a fence post, or you drag it across some barbed wire, it's going to scratch, no two ways about it. Is it resistant to weather, inclement weather, some rain? Then if it's treated, then yes, it will be, for sure. I will say though that the finish on this stock does feel a little bit bare. There is a finish on it, but I would still prefer to give it an oiling maybe. Talk about metalwork. And by metalwork I mean, you've got the chassis, you've got the bottle, you've got the barrel, the metal guard, trigger guard, sorry, that is, the trigger itself, the bolt. Right, on top of the chassis we have a dovetail rail. It's not universal, it doesn't accommodate Piccadilly or Weaver. It's a decent length and it's 13mm wide. But that's basically it. The barrel does have a 1/2 inch UNF on the ends, so if you didn't want to go for the shroud and for the integral moderator, you could put your own on there if you like. But obviously it is shrouded and it does have a moderator. Let me just have a look at down here. So we do have a bottle that is detachable, and you can fill it away from the rifle if you want. the instruction manual tells you how to do that. I haven't done that. I've just used the probe, and that's it. Yeah, you know, so I guess if you had a second spare bottle, then you wouldn't worry about filling it out on the field. You just take that bottle with you. But obviously it doesn't come with a spare bottle, and that'd be additional cost. So the one thing that goes against it is basically, yeah, I mentioned these sling studs, and I said that it would only take a certain type of bipod. The issue that you've got is when you attach the bipod, it may foul the filler port. So you're either going to cut a piece of the bipod out, or you may turn it back on itself with the legs folding in towards you to accommodate that. It's a bit of a bind, and it goes against the rifle for ergonomics. That design could have been a little bit better. What else can I say? So yeah, obviously it's got an easy reach cocking lever, although again for me that cocking lever is a bit small. It's a bit uncomfortable. I would rather it be more pronounced, and I'd rather the stroke be longer than the shortness that I've kind of experienced. Just, you kind of, when you've got big hands, it doesn't fit right somehow. What else can I say? So with regards to ergonomics, the trigger, I've already mentioned, there's multi-way adjustable, first stage, second stage, pull, and also position of blade on post. So that's all good, and that all works in its favour. And plus the fact that the trigger guide itself is drilled out nicely, so that you can access all those adjustment screws without having to take the rifle out of its stock, which is very good. Just a couple more things. So the safety is outside of the trigger, positioned in a place where you can gain easy access, you know, with your thumb, and it operates quite well. I will be reviewing another similar rifle to this, and I have to say, although the safety on that rifle is positioned in the same place, the operation is absolutely horrendous. But there you go, spoiler alert, that's something that's coming. What's else in its favour? Well, yeah, two things. So obviously it's regulated, and I've already mentioned in the air efficiency part of the, you know, the accuracy and performance section, that's helping it, and it's helping it to achieve a better shot count per fill. BSA quotes, I think, 25% improved air efficiency. Well, I've not seen that. I have seen a consistent sort of shot string, but I haven't seen an extended shot count. In fact, as I said, I'm only getting about 106 shots per fill, which isn't particularly great. And one other thing, the manometer, well, it's always nice to have it positioned well away from the dangerous end, so yeah, that counts in its favour. So with regards to ergonomics, there's one thing that I haven't really mentioned, and that's the fit of the rifle for me as a shooter. Now, the stock, the butt, sorry, is a bit short, and I'm finding this with virtually all the Manelli stocks that I've handled recently. They all seem to be a bit too short in the stock, and the reach from butt to trigger again is too short. I'd rather it be another 25mm to, you know, or an inch longer. It would feel more comfortable for me. Again, this is a very personal opinion. However, it's okay, it's alright. So overall, for ergonomics, the rifle scores 2.8 out of 5 stars. The next topic is build quality. Well, look, apart from the comments that I've already made, there's not a lot I can say except that it seems to be put together very well. It seems solid. The stock, well, you know, I love the way that it's been shaped, the materials that Manelli have used, the detailing, the checkering, it's absolutely beautiful. The stock for me and again, this is about build quality and finish. That's near on 5 out of 5 stars. The rest of the rifle, with its little nuances, I'm scoring 4 out of 5 stars. So overall, when we look at the action, chassis, the air system, the barrel, stock and sundries, and bear in mind I've not taken this out of its stock, it achieved 4.2 out of 5 stars, which is a very high score. So finally, the last topic to cover is safety design. So that includes its positioning, the operation and the type, whether it's manual or automatic. I've spoken about safety enough. I don't really have to go into any more except to say that overall it scores 3.7 out of 5 stars. Add all those scores together and you get an overall score of 3.8 out of 5 stars for the design and build part of this review. So that's it, guys. That's the review over for the BSA R10 SE in .22 sub 12 foot-pound. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's been, I've got to say, it's been a little bit challenging for me because it's a different format. So the first half was quite difficult not to voice my opinions. It's been nicer this second half just to have a little bit more freedom in that. But yeah, let me know what you think, whether you like this new format or whether you prefer the review being split into 2 parts as they were before. Drop a comment, you know, please keep those comments clean, obviously, and as long as they're constructive, I will, you know, I'll take them to heart and I will work on it. What else can I say? Well, of course, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe. That's very important, and give us a thumbs up, share amongst your friends and family. And another thing, don't forget that we have got the platform www.thegunlocker.uk. It's a great platform. It's there for you to use. You can sell your own air rifles on there or buy air rifles, shotguns, firearms, shooting accessories. It's open to everybody across the globe except for those sanctioned countries, of course. Yeah, and what more can I say except for now, stay safe and hope to see you on the next one. And of course, goodbye.